Why hello there, Standarino here, coming at you through the Twitter sphere, and I just wanted to make a very brief video just really summarising the Viking season so far from an Englishman's perspective. And there's three reasons I wanted to make this video. Firstly, we've had the bye week now. It's a time for stepping back from things and just reviewing what's happened, where we're at, and where hopefully we might be going. Second reason is, less than a week today I will be in Minneapolis. I'm flying over finally to see the Vikings live, so I'll be arriving next Thursday around midday Central Time if you want to wait for me at the airport. And I'm flying over to see the Vikings. It'll be the first time I've seen them live. It'll be the first time I've been to US Bank Stadium. I've been to Minneapolis before briefly, but I'm looking forward to seeing a little bit more of the city as well. In case it's under snow, then I might just be restricted to the bars, but we'll see what happens with that. And then the third reason I want to make this video is because finally it arrived. My Adam Thielen Colour Rush jersey from the States. I've been waiting for it for a while. It's finally got into England. It's arrived with me. I'm slipping it on. I don't care how much it delays this video. You're probably turning off now, aren't you? Look, it's even got the tags on still. And oh, look at that. I can't wait to wear this to the game against the Lions next Sunday. It's a little bit thinner than I expected, so I'm going to ensure that I've got plenty of layers underneath so that I don't freeze to death, because I know it's bloody cold over there. Onto the season, very briefly. 8-3, I don't think personally anyone can complain about anything really. Yeah, there's a few things you can pick out as not being perfect, but if I take you back to the Bears game, I remember watching that game and straight after, well, even during the game, thinking we're going nowhere this season. Kirk looked like just an average quarterback again. The whole team just didn't look ready for it, and it was just the same old story really, thinking that as soon as we come up against a good team we just fold and we just crumble, and we just show that we're not a team that's built to beat winning teams. But funnily enough, the fortune since that game have completely reversed. The Vikings have gone strength to strength. Kirk's been amazing. The Bears have gone the opposite way, but we're not here to talk about that right now. But all in all, I think from that game to where we are now, if you're really going to pick faults in anything, just realise where we've come. I'm content. And when I booked to come over for the Lions game, I booked it actually after the first game of the season. So we'd beaten the Falcons 28-12, and all I said is that in a perfect world I'd love to come over there and the Vikings be in with a shot of making the playoffs. That was my only hope. I mean, if I came over there and it was 4-7, it would have still been great, don't get me wrong, but it just wouldn't have quite had the same atmosphere and feel to it as what it will be next week hopefully. So I'm absolutely delighted. I'm not complaining about anything, and yeah, it's just going to make the game even more sweet. Not only going into it with a chance of making the playoffs, but going into the game with a good record and a bit of space between the Vikings and the chasing pack. So cannot wait. It's going to be great. Kirk Cousins, what can we say? It's been fantastic. I think a lot of people, even the people that are fully behind him, I think there's always that little nagging concern in the back of people's minds, maybe mine included, where you're just thinking, is this for real or is this just a phase? But I don't know, we've just got to ride with it. There's no point waiting for it to go wrong. Maybe things have just clicked for him, maybe he's got things right in his head or with the team or whatever it is, but he's been balling big time. He's been amazing. And if it wasn't for Lamar Jackson and the way Russell Wilson's been playing, I think you could seriously put him in that MVP conversation. But I think with Kirk, he's just one of those names that people love to knock, Vikings fans included sometimes, but especially the media as a whole. He's always been an easy target, and whenever anything goes wrong, people love to jump on the back of him. But he's been amazing. His passer rating, everything about him, the way that he's in some games, in key situations, he's been the one who steered us through to winning those. It's not just been relying on Dalvin Cook or some magic elsewhere. There's been times when Kirk Cousins has won us games, and that's what the Vikings paid for. That's what we wanted. briefly mentioned him there, Dalvin Cook. He's been sensational. He's been the player that I think we all knew he could be if he could stay fit and healthy. I think similarly to Fournette at the Jags, who again showed a few years ago what a talent he was, but he's just struggled with injuries since then. I think, while I don't think they're the same type of running back, I think they've been in similar situations where there's been two top talents there who've just unfortunately suffered with injuries. But it's been great to see Dalvin Cook remain healthy so far, and he's been causing defenses absolute nightmares. And you know, when you put him in the same conversation as the likes of Christian McCaffrey, then it shows how good of a season he's had so far. Long may it continue, but also it's been great not having to rely on him. With Kirk balling as well, we've had, just offensively as a whole, it's been great to watch. It's been really, I think sometimes you can take it for granted. You know, I remember the days when just relying completely on Adrian Peterson to provide some magic, and so the fact that we don't have to do that now, you've just got to really take it in and appreciate it for what it is. Really, it's not always going to be like this. Let's just hope that that magic can take us somewhere to, dare I say it, the Super Bowl. I don't know. If we are going to focus on anything negative, I think the big standouts being the secondary. I think we've been very exposed against the pass this season. People have been getting on Xavier Rhodes back a hell of a lot this year, and yeah, I get it. I get that he has not been his usual self. I think in seasons gone by, he's potentially been the most valuable player a lot of those seasons. He's one of those names that every year you rely on him, you think, yeah, he's one of the best cornerbacks in the league. Roads closed and all that. This year, it's not happened, and whether that's just due to, I don't know, whether it's due to it being a blip or whether he's starting to regress slightly with age. Whatever the reason is, I don't agree with people jumping on his back, calling him a bum and trash, and you know, some of the things. I mean, people's memories are just so short. He's been a great servant to the franchise, and from my perspective, I just trust Zimmer to handle it the way he's going to, and whether he goes at the end of this season, I'll leave that in the hands, but I'm definitely not going to get on his back about it. Yeah, it's been frustrating at times. Sometimes he's just genuinely been beaten by some great passes and catches, and it's not just him, the whole secondary have been very exploitable this year. And you know, I heard an interview with Zimmer earlier. He knows that's one of the things we've got to improve on, and whether we do or don't, I trust Zimmer. He's a great coach, and I'm not going to complain. The only time I really agree in getting on players' backs, and not verbally abusing them like people have been with Xavier Rhodes and how people do with Kirk Cousins, or tweeting players directly. I don't agree with that, but for me personally, the only time I'll let myself get angry about players and performances is if it's through what I perceive to be a lack of effort. If I see players that don't look like their heads in the game, and that they've got the fight about them, then that's the one time I'll let myself get angry at players on a personal level. But to be fair, I don't really get that with the Vikings. That's one thing I've always loved about following the Vikings, and I suppose the NFL as a whole. I'm probably talking more about football as in English soccer, where you sometimes see that creep into the game more. I think with NFL and American football, it's harder to play the lazy game. I think you get found out very quickly and you get hurt in those scenarios. But anyway, I digress. I think that's where I'm going to leave it. I just want to keep it very brief. It's coming to 9 minutes. We're just surpassing 9 minutes. It's gone on a little bit longer than I anticipated. I hope you've stuck through it without. Just to confirm, I'm in Minneapolis next Thursday until next Monday. There's me coming over, one of my best mates who's a Dolphins fan, and then my other best mate who is a Giants fan. So it'll be nice for them to see a real team playing as well in a proper stadium. If anyone is watching this from out there, wants to recommend any good bars or things to do, or wants to meet up for a beer, hit me up. It'd be great to meet people. We're going to most likely be documenting the journey while we're out there, so there may be a video to come from the trip, but I'm going to leave it there. Happy Thanksgiving to those watching from America. UK Skull Nation to the British fans, and I'm signing off. Final note, I think we'll lose to the Seahawks on Monday night. Not being negative, I think we can afford to lose to them as long as we then beat the Lions and probably the Chargers. But I'm not going to get too much into that. It's going to be a tough game. Maybe I'll do a video going into that in a bit more detail, but I want to leave it there. Sorry to end on a negative, but I think it's okay. I think that's the important thing. We can lose. We can afford to lose to the Seahawks. I factored it in. After we lost to the Chiefs, the Cowboys game became a must-win to me, and I didn't think we'd win that. We did. Now we're in a similar situation where I think we can afford to lose this game. Hopefully we don't. I think we can win, but I don't think we will. It's going to be a tough game. Let's see what happens. Let's go Vikings.